Thank you. Thank you, Heinz, who is the gesture on the screen. I'm going to cry. Is my beloved friend, Anthony Donahoe, who left me and us Labor Day this year. And I feel, let's see if I can get me on here that we've seen. Yes, look at this, technological genius. So I went to the place in the Arnold Arboretum where I used to sit with Anthony. And it was just a stone slab that we could sit on. Someone had, I guess, carved it so it was pretty flat. And there's this big view of Boston. Some of you who've been there might know where it is. And I'm sitting there with my dear beloved friend Michelle, who before we went up there rolled with me in the linden leaves as they were falling off the trees, the yellow leaves, linden tree. And was sitting on this stone slab, and I'm telling her I used to come here with Tony, and I can feel it now. I can feel it even now in the show. Both there and here in the room. Whoa. Whoops, I better be good. I could feel there he is. I could feel Anthony. I really loved you, Anthony. I can feel you now. This is almost too much to bear. Whoa, wow. It's not just all nice. Whoa, it's intense, like a fierce hug. Hi, I can take it. Whoa. So, now that we've proved that there's a life after this one, let's look at one poem about grieving. But before we do, I'd like to share with you what I discovered in meditation this morning. I had been feeling some of the sadness of this season. Winter's coming in. And I feel the pulse of my blood, my heartbeat sending out blood through my body, and it feels like loving care. TLC, tender loving care of my heart and blood for my body and really for all of me. And then I breathe. Tony will have to forgive me if I don't know what kind of breathing and heartbeat you have going for you. Maybe you'll tell us before the show is over. We can keep the audience riveted. But for me in the morning, after feeling my heartbeat, I feel my breath. And my breath is also sending out nourishment to my entire body. Tender, loving care. Both breath and heartbeat together. And because this is Thanksgiving, I become grateful to my heartbeat and breath. You can try this at home. We can stop for a moment and feel your heartbeat. Put your hand on your heart can help. Feel that heart beating love, beating nourishment. Just the amount we need. Breathing nourishment to our entire body. What tender, loving care from our heart. And we can focus on our breath and feel our breath doing the same. We need them both, and they work together. The breath takes the oxygen from our breathing and spreads the energy. Oxygen is energy to our entire body. And the breath gets rid of the excess energy, or the excess that doesn't need the carbon monoxide. That's why wearing a mask is so hard for me, and I think others. We're breathing our carbon dioxide, which our blood and body want to get rid of. But I'm not thinking of that in the morning. Just gratitude. Hope you're doing this too. Gratitude for your own heart beating nourishment with tender, loving care, and your own breath breathing nourishment with tender, loving care, and both of them recycling, getting rid of the carbon dioxide we don't need. What a great system. And when I'm grateful for this, 10 hands on my heart, maybe one hand on my head, thinking gratitude in my brain and mind. Yeah, I can feel it now. I can feel a light, like sunlight coming from within. And I think maybe the gratitude, my gratitude, hopefully yours, opens us up to feel that it's sunlight, maybe other starlight, but certainly sunlight, nourishing all the plants which nourish the animals. It's the sunlight that is the nourishment. And our blood is beating to our body. And our breath is breathing in the warm air thanks to our sunlight. And so maybe we can feel being grateful for the breathing and heart beating. It opens us to feel the light that we all have inside. And even more, although I'm not sure I explained even to myself, how gratitude for breathing and heart beating opens me up to feel the light. I do, but I'm not sure intellectually it's totally clear to me. Feel free to write me at CCTV, Michael Koran. This is AHA, a human among humans. I'm your host, Michael Koran. So I hope you feel the light too as the winter is coming on. And I certainly hope you feel the gratitude for breathing and heart beating. And I think if we feel the gratitude and it brings light in our eyes, looking at people with light in our eyes, being grateful for them too can help them feel gratitude for their breathing, heart beating, and the light that is the ultimate nourishment for them too. Ultimate tender, loving care and nourishment. So, I hope this helps us be grateful for Thanksgiving. I am surely grateful for this man. Oh my. I remember a woman who had a friend in one of my classes, philosophy classes, who had a friend whose husband died after a lovely 7-year marriage. And the widow said at the funeral, I'm sure many of you feel sorry for me. And I feel sad too. But I really want to celebrate. What a wonderful marriage I had with my husband. What a gift we had with each other. And now, I certainly can say this about Anthony Donahoe. A beyond believable gift. Oh my, were you fun. Love and fun in shade and sun. Well, this is all an introduction. I wanted to explore with you some poems about grieving. This is a very famous one by Elizabeth Bishop. I'll read it once and then we can explore it together. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch. And look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I own, 2 rivers, a continent, I miss them. But it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident. The art of losing is not hard to master. Though it may look like, write it. Like disaster. Oh. Well, it does bring tears into my eyes. Perhaps you too, thinking of someone you lost this year or before that you loved so. I would like to think the morning, I think it is the morning, is love for you, Tone. Anthony Donahoe. Seems healing to mourn, to let the sadness come out. These poems help. Elizabeth Bishop is there to lead us. Okay, everybody, 1, 2, 3, mourn. Well, let's look at the poem a little more slowly, if you don't mind. Thank you, Elizabeth Bishop. So it begins, the art of losing isn't hard to master. Gee, it seems straightforward, at least the first time. This, I believe, is sestina, and these lines need to be repeated, often on different lines of the 6 sections. That's sestina for 6 sections. So it seems at the first line, okay, if you say so, it's hard to master losing your keys. It is. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that they're lost is no disaster. She's not going to tell us. Some of the things that seem to be intent to be lost. Maybe keys, they seem to be. Maybe if we play, they might want to be lost to be treasured when we have them. Except the fluster of lost door keys. The hour badly spent. That's hard too, yes? Well, I wasted that hour. I shouldn't have been looking at how the Celtics were in the NBA East. I should have been studying poetry instead. So can we master that? It's okay, nobody's perfect. My own poem, Nobody's Perfect. Stranger to the human race. I'm always losing face. I'm baser than the base. Disgraced to be erased. Okay, nobody's perfect. We might feel, okay, I'd like to just vanish. I had a student in one of my classes. She was, she was a lawyer, and sometimes it was just too much. She wanted too many people, wanted too many things. She wanted to vanish. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names. I'm getting older, beloved viewers, 81 now, and names do go. It must be that our psyches, like my white hair, are telling us we've got to practice letting go. And to do it, it's a great art. The poem is called One Art. The art of losing. It's getting a little ironic. She wants us to practice losing as if it's a choice. What was you meant to travel, or what you wanted when you went to the refrigerator? None of these will bring disaster. And she loses dear things. I lost my mother's watch. And look, she's really addressing us. Hi, Elizabeth. You too, like my friend Anthony, might be with us. And look, my last or next to last, she might have one left, of 3 loved homes went. Well, that would be hard, losing your home. I have a friend who works in assisted living. People have to give up their home. Practice getting ready for the trip where we'll lose it all. Abby Hoffman said, death is the best trip of all. That's why it's saved for last. So maybe losing is built into us. And we're giving many opportunities to lose with grace. I can't see very much when I play tennis because I had sinus cancer, so I lose perspective. But I enjoy tennis even more, just the feel of it. Even though I can hardly hit a backhand at all, or a serve, it's really more enjoyable, especially if I can let go with grace. Okay, it was lovely to serve and hit a backhand, but it's going. It's part of the trip. It's one of the stops on the trip to the next world where Tony is in. The art of losing. She keeps telling us this, the poet, trying to convince ourselves and her. And it can sink in. There's an exercise in co-counseling where people counsel each other. It's called, do I remember? Is it leaving me? It might be leaving me. Now I remembered, but I could slowly, contradiction. One of my students had to say, I love being cheated by my lawyer, until he laughed. I love being So that's it. It can help us. I love not being able to hit a backhand. I love losing to my beloved friend in basketball because I can't hardly see the rim well. Until you laugh. Technique for this poem. Contradiction. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster. Some realms I own, 2 rivers, a continent, that's a lot. But you can move. Elizabeth Bishop made a move from Brazil to Manhattan. You can lose a lot. I miss them, honesty. But it wasn't a disaster. Sad, missing, challenging. And then the hard last stanza, the 6th, which is 4 lines. The other 5 stanzas were 3. Even losing you, Anthony Donahoe. The joking voice, oh my, a joking voice. You would walk into a room where people were sitting and not talking, and you'd say, okay, everybody, time to share the most painful experience in your life. Who would like to go first? The joking voice, a gesture I loved. I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing is not too hard to master, an honest poet. Though it may look like, write it, like disaster. So it may look like losing you, Anthony, like disaster for so many of us who loved you. But with your help and your humor and your presence, the art of losing isn't hard to master. I'm going to read it one more time, just so we can feel it. These poems are invitations to just join Elizabeth Bishop's grieving community. She's creating a community of people with this good poem or good song. Revealing, encouraging us that the art of losing isn't too hard to master. Of course, there are support groups that can help us and still feel like crying. But that's part of it. In some ways, revealing more strongly my love for Thomas Anthony Donahoe, which I think helps bring him here, at least in my imagination, although it feels way more than that, almost hard to handle. But I will now just honor this poem by reading it one last time, and we will leave it and let this poem go. One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost, that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names, and where was you meant to travel? None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned. 2 rivers, a continent, I miss them. But it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you. The joking voice, a gesture I love. I shan't have lied. It's evident. The art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like. Write it. Disaster. It's a very different poem. Wow. Do not go gentle into that good night. Woo. My dear friend Anthony died and was alone in his living room on the floor for 7 days before he was discovered by a wellness check. I was told his arms and legs were up toward the sky. Maybe he was wrestling with an angel. Maybe Tom did not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end, no dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Brave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors. And be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my Father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. All that Anthony might have, and then I think reaching out with his hands and arms, an angel came and helped you on your way. There's an old Jewish tradition that remembering well someone who died is a prayer, helping them rise toward heaven. And at least my experience of you, Tone, is you are in the atmosphere as light as air, rising and going wherever you care. The next poem is, I think, my favorite poem about growing old. And Shakespeare was born in 1564 and died in 1516, same year Cervantes died. So it's only 52, but I think it was old in that day, especially for someone who lived such a vital life as Shakespeare. And this is one of his famous sonnets. I think of it now at 81. Going at 65, Tony, just before your 66th birthday, might have been a good choice. That time of year thou madest in me behold, when yellow leaves are none, or few, do hang upon those boughs, which shake against the cold. Bare ruin choirs, where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away. Death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire that of the ashes of his youth doth lie. As the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well, which thou must leave ere long. Well, you did leave us, and I will be leaving too. I love to make it healthy to 100 and then say goodbye and join you, Anthony, although I seem to think you're here. Let's just look at this lovely poem with one hard sentence. Okay, that time of year thou madest me behold, when yellow leaves were none, or maybe there's a few. Look carefully at the trees now, to hang about those boughs which shake against the cold, getting colder. Bare ruined choirs, where late the sweet birds sang. And my voice gets hoarser too. So many things, you can hear it happening now. In me thou seest the twilight of such day. Twilight is coming, is here probably for me. As after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away. Death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire that on the ashes of his youth doth lie. We get older. It seems many of us remember more and more when I was a young man and never been kissed. That on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed when it must expire. I'm dying on all my youthful memories, consumed with that which it was nourished by, maybe those wonderful times. And now, are they consuming me? Maybe they could eat me up with what I lost, maybe. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong. My beloved young friends, to love that well, which thou must leave ere long, even parents, older friends, a strong love. I just read in the Globe of someone who was dying. She was on special lung support. It was time to go. And her sweetheart married her. She was dressed in a wedding dress. And 2 days later, she was gone. which makes thy love more stronger. I have a friend who's probably dying soon. To love that well, which thou must leave here alone. Why not? We can mourn, and in our mourning feel the presence as I feel Anthony's presence. One more poem, a harder one. We saved the challenge for last, like death, the best trip of all and maybe the most challenging, saved for last. Gerard Manley Hopkins, Spring and Fall to a Young Child. Addressed to her, Margaret, talking to a friend. Are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves, like the things of man, you with your fresh thoughts care for. Can you? As the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder. By and by, nor spare a sigh. The worlds of one would leave me a lie. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now, no matter, child, the name. Sorrow springs are the same. Nor mouth had, no, nor mind expressed what heart heard of ghost guest. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. Well, the falling leaves are beautiful, and the bare trees, bare ruined choirs where like the sweet birds sang, are beautiful too. As Tony is. So as I said earlier, mourning can be a deep part of love, knowing eventually all, as Hamlet's mother said, all that live must die, passing from here to eternity. Let's see if we can, what more we can say about this. Is an amazing sprung rhythm. Margaret, he's talking to her, as I said, are you grieving? Does she look sad? Leaves like the things of man, you with your fret thoughts care for, can you? Oh, yes, Margaret seems young. She can care for the leaves. They die. As the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder. By and by, nor spare a sigh, the worlds of wanwood leave me alive. Have you come to the time I didn't care in my middle age? Now I do again, that leaves. Now I love them, even on the ground. And I just learned, thanks to my dear friend C.C. King, Interplay leader. We're meeting this coming Wednesday at 11 Garden Street, 7:30 for Interplay. Come if you want to learn how to play with other people, adult play. And Cece wrote that some people are leaving the leaves on the ground now, so insects have a home in the winter. And yet you will weep. Well, I'm certainly weeping for you, Anthony. I'm not sure I'm weeping for me yet, although I can weep for all the things I'm losing, if I'm honest, even though it's more fun playing tennis and basketball, even though I can't see the net or the ball in tennis or the net very clearly in basketball. It's more fun in some ways, less aerobic, but more fun. So maybe I haven't come so much practice losing. Maybe I'm getting the practice. Jeez. It seems heartening, though, knowing I might join you, Anthony. Wow. Oh, my. Wow. Something to look forward to. And yet you will weep and know why. Now, no matter, child, the name, sorrow springs are the same. Nor mouth had, no, nor mind express what heart heard of. Ghosts guessed. This might be Gerard Manley Hopkins was a priest. Or a ghost, or the Holy Ghost. We can guess. Oh, I guess it's a guess for me now. I guess losing Tony too. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. Is it the blight? Or was Abby Hoffman right? Death is the best trip of all. That's why it's saved for last. Well, as a way of saying goodbye, let me read Gerard Manley Hopkins' poem one last time. It's a sonnet, like Shakespeare's sonnet. The first two poems were sestinas. The last two are sonnets. Poets can put their intense feelings in a structure, like a good basketball player or tennis player. Spring and fall to a young child. Margaret, are you grieving over golden grove unleaving? Leaves like the things of man, you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? As the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder. By and by, nor spare a sigh, the worlds of wanwood leave me alive. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now no matter, child, the name, sorrow springs are the same. Nor mouth had, no, nor mind expressed what heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. Well, I mourn for Anthony. Maybe not for me yet. Maybe I need to be more honest. This helps all of us grieve, a form of thanks. Thank you, Thomas Anthony Donahoe, for a friendship and a friend I could never have imagined. I said everything that came to my mind with you, the first person I ever dared do that with. You have freed me beyond my imagination. Goodbye, Anthony. I love you.